Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Kalyan Jewellers Q1 FY22 conference call hosted by ICICI Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Aniket Sethi from ICICI Securities Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Malika. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining. It is an absolute pleasure at ICICI to host the management team of Kalyan Jewellers for the Q1 FY22 results call. The company is represented by Mr. Ramesh Kalyanaraman, Executive Director, Mr. Sanjay Raghuraman, CEO, Mr. V. Swaminathan, CFO, Mr. Sanjay Mehrotra, Head, Strategy and Corporate Affairs, and Mr. Ibrahim George, Head, Treasury and Investor Relations. I would now hand it over to the management for their opening comments, post which we'll open the floor for question and answers. Thank you. Ramesh, over to you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ramesh. I hope and pray that all of you and your families are safe and secure. I would begin by saying that the outcome of the first quarter has been above our expectations and we are happy with the performance. If you remember last time when we met, all our stores were closed and our estimates for the quarter were muted. We had expected a much slower comeback due to the severe impact of the second wave. I will start by giving a detailed overview about the just concluded quarter, which will explain why we are excited about the outcome. I will also be sharing quarterly and monthly data with respect to Q1 FY 2022, 21 and 20. Please bear with me if I am going to overload you with a lot of figures. Let me first begin with India. We started the new financial year on a very strong note and we witnessed high momentum for the stores which were open, and it was very similar to that of Q4 of the last financial year. For the month of April, with only 80% of our showrooms operational, our revenue growth ex GSS, our gold saving scheme, was approximately 24% when compared with April 2019. The reason why I mentioned ex GSS is because there was a significant drop in GSS revenue contribution this year, driven by disruption in scheme enrollments during the same period last year due to the nationwide lockdown. Our SSG ex GSS in April, when compared to 2019, normalized for working days, was approximately 41%. I am not giving any comparison with April 2020 since it was a zero revenue month. Month of May was almost a washout as most of our stores were closed. The month of June, some states started relaxing the lockdown norms and many of our showrooms across the country started to resume operations with restricted working days and hours. We witnessed strong momentum for the stores which were open and our revenue achievement was approximately 81% ex GSS when compared with June 2019, even though only 53% of our stores were operational. When we compare with June of last financial year, our revenue growth ex GSS recorded a growth of 2%. This revenue achievement is despite two of our major markets, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, which usually contribute more than 40% of our total India revenue, were only operating at 20%. The SSG ex GSS normalized for working days for the month of June was approximately 57% when compared to June 2019 and was 68% when compared to June 2020. Now, if you look at the quarter as a whole, the revenue achievement when compared with Q1 FY 2020 was approximately 58%. However, ex-GSS, the revenue achievement was approximately 70%, with approximately 52% of our showrooms operational during the quarter. If you compare the revenue with the previous financial year during the same period, the achievement was 194%. The momentum witnessed in this quarter was very similar to that of Q4 of the last financial year, and the margins are also very comparable to Q4 of the last financial year, even though we had a higher impact of customs duty for this quarter. The highlight of the quarter for India is the faster recovery given the resilience of the sector and continued strong momentum driven largely by the shift from unorganized to organized. Now let me give you an overview of our Middle East operations. Almost all our stores in the Middle East were fully operational during the quarter. Middle East also witnessed very strong recovery during the first few weeks of April, very similar to the recovery levels witnessed during Q4 FY 2021. However, on the back of a peaking second wave of COVID-19 in India, there have been temporary disruptions to business in the region, driven largely by the ongoing travel restrictions imposed between India and Middle East, as well as muted consumer sentiment amongst the Indian community in that region. Revenue achievement in Middle East was approximately 56% of Q1 FY 2020, and it was 283% for the same quarter of the last financial year. Before I conclude, let me give you a quick update on the current market situation. Month of July and first few days of August witnessed a very strong momentum in India, very similar to Q4 FY 2021. The new customer growth continues to be in the range of 50%, largely driven by the shift from unorganized to organized. This trend has been visible over the past 3 quarters. In the Middle East, customer sentiment has been improving. Our primary focus has been on safety of our customers and well-being of our employees. The brand communication has also been revolving around the store hygiene and safety measures taken, which also includes vaccination of store staff. These initiatives were well accepted and appreciated by our customers. One important development during the quarter was the announcement of compulsory hallmarking by the Government of India. This, we feel, is a very significant step towards making the industry more transparent and will further accelerate the shift from unorganized to organized. Enforcement of quality will lead to a level playing field for the organized players, because a few unorganized players were at an advantage by selling inferior quality products at a lower price. Also, with the HUID coming into force, non-billing sales will come down drastically, which was again an advantage for a few players in the unorganized segment. The final takeaway is that the momentum has been extremely positive. The SSG has been very positive. The margins are almost steady, and the tailwind is very significant and well positioned for players like us, and we will address this opportunity. I will now hand over to our CEO, who will take you through the performance highlights for Q1. Over to you, Sanjay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh, and good afternoon, everybody. Hope and pray all of you and your families are safe and well. I'll start by giving you an overview of our India performance. For the recently concluded quarter, our India revenues were 1,274 crores, a growth of 94% when compared with the corresponding quarter of the previous financial year. and a degrowth of 42% when compared to Q1 of FY20. We booked a loss of 43 crores for the recently concluded quarter, compared to a loss of 77 crores in the corresponding quarter of the previous financial year. Our EBIT, earnings before interest and tax, for the recently concluded quarter was rupees 5 crores versus a loss of 9 crores at the EBIT level when compared with Q1 of the previous financial year. Moving on now about our My Kalyan initiative. The My Kalyan vertical continued to show good traction and contributed 23% to our total revenue and 37% to our gold savings scheme enrollments during the first quarter of this financial year. We have seen a lot of new customer walk-in, and the new customer growth is in the range of 50%. Now I shall share some information about our Middle East business. Our revenue for the quarter was approximately 340 crores, a growth of 183% compared to Q1 of the previous financial year, and a degrowth of 44% when compared with Q1 of FY20. This is after closing down 20% of our showrooms in the Middle East during the first lockdown in the previous financial year. We booked a loss of 9 crores for the quarter compared to a loss of 8 crores for the corresponding quarter in the previous year. Talking now about our e-commerce business, Candere. It posted a revenue of 24 crores during Q1 of this financial year versus 5 crores in the corresponding quarter of the previous financial year. And we had a profit after tax of 31 lakhs in this quarter versus a loss of 1 crore for the corresponding quarter in the previous year in Candere. Talking now about our consolidated numbers. On a consolidated basis, our revenue for the quarter was approximately 1,640 crores, which was a growth of 109% when compared with Q1 of the previous financial year. And when compared with the corresponding quarter of Q1 FY20, it degrew by 42%. Our consolidated loss for the quarter was 51 crores versus a loss of 86 crores in the first quarter of the previous year. During this quarter, we had no bullion sale, and our gold coin sale to retail and corporate business-to-business B2B customers was approximately 40 crores, which is about 3% of our total revenues. During the just concluded quarter, we opened 9 new showrooms, out of which 8 were in South India and 1 in the non-South markets. With this, we are now done with the opening comments and can open the floor for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Gaurav Jogani from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question, sir. Sir, my question is with regards to the gross margins that we have seen in the base quarter. I understand that there was due to some exceptional cases in the base. However, how is your view on the gross margins going ahead, given that we are seeing some increase in the competitive activity in the market? So any views there? Has the level of discounting or promotions increased? And just related to this, even your promotions and sale expenses have increased on a QOQ basis as well. I mean, compared to Q4 versus Q1, a month of May being washed out. So anything that you can add there?
Yeah, so we can divide the questions into 2. So usually a steady state gross margin will be around 17%, but that 17% is when your South, non-South revenue mix is 65-35. I mean, 35% revenue should come from outside South markets, and when your studded ratio is in the range of 24%. In this business scenario, what is happening is that we see heavy footfalls in the store, huge momentum in terms of revenue. there is disproportionate growth for plain gold jewelry when compared to studded jewelry. And the studded margin for the recently concluded quarter was in the range of 20%. And the South, non-South mix is also 70:30 instead of 65:35. So now, in this quarter, the margins are in the range of 14.3, even with the 20% studded ratio, and again with an impact of the customs duty loss because of the recently announced customs duty reduction by 2.5%. So this is about the gross margin. And if I heard you right, you are comparing with the gross margins of Q1 of the previous financial year?
No, sir. So I understand that the Q1 base was quite high due to the sharp rise in the gold prices.
One of gains like metal gain and the higher realization of making charges from customers because of abrupt increase in gold prices in Q1 of the last financial year.
Yeah. So no. So my question was more with regards to the QQ only, not the base one. But yeah, you largely answered. So would you like to highlight how much was the impact due to this custom duty loss on the gross margins? Anything that you would like to quantify there?
Yeah, so it's hard to quantify because it depends upon the gold metal value only, because there is a making charge component, there is stone charge component in the revenue which is there. So it is very hard and it is a delicate wherein we have to kind of tell you the exact impact, but the customs duty is 2.5%, which was reduced. And if you look at the total turnover, 15-20% goes away for making charges and stone charges put together. So then that should be the calculation.
Sure.
Studded ratio deficit by 2%, almost 0.8, 0.9% of the turnover. There will be a deficit of 0.8 to 0.9% because of that.
Sure. And sir, on the sales promotion bit, I mean, there was a bit of increase even on a QOQ basis on the sales promotion bit, despite our showrooms remaining closed for a month in Q1. So anything that you would like to highlight there? I mean,
usually the promotion expenses, if you divide it into 4 quarters, it will not be an equal figure. Q1 and Q3 will be a bigger spend when compared to Q3 and Q4. Sorry, Q2 and Q4. So if the advertisement budget is in the range of 150, 160 crore, our Q1 and Q3 will be in the range of 40, 45 crore, and Q2 and Q4 will be in the range of 30 crore. So that is the usual scenario where we do marketing. So it cannot be compared with Q4 is the limited point.
Sure. Got that, sir. That's all from me, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Avnish Roy from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. My first question is on the international business. So the other large listed competitor, they are going into US and they are saying diaspora is extremely attractive opportunity. In 2018, you had said you would be opening 3 stores in US. So want to understand what is your thought process now. And on the stores shut in Middle East, what would be the long-term plan in terms of number of stores in Middle East?
So regarding expansion in the US, we don't have any short-term interest in expansion to the US. We want to really leverage what we have created in the Middle East and India. India being a very big market, and already we are there in almost 21 states in this country. We want to really leverage for what we have created in India. Regarding Middle East, we are looking for opportunity. We are closely watching that market, and when the market is getting steady, we will surely expand there. That is the plan, and the expansion will be from the funds which we have in Middle East, and that is our plan. So we are closely watching that market.
But one clarification.
We are one of the top 3 players in the Middle East even today.
One clarification, in 2018 you had plans of going to US, right? Has anything changed, or is it just prioritization of India now more than, say, what was in 2018?
Yes. So we have full priority on the expansion in India, especially now, because there is huge momentum, there is huge traction from unorganized to organized, and we want to really utilize this situation, and we will be expanding in India for the next 2-3 years to the maximum.
Sure. My second question is gold as an asset class. It is at the prices are at a 4 to 5 month low, and in comparison, real estate asset class, which has been dead for 10 years, is coming back reasonably okay terms, initial terms across the country. And many people believe that real estate could be seeing a multi-year good phase, and stock markets are also doing reasonably well. So near term, do you see gold as an asset class becoming less attractive because it has come off significantly from a 1 year perspective, from a 5 month perspective?
Yeah, so first of all, let me just clarify that Kalyan Jewellers is a retail brand, and we have zero bullion sale, zero bullion revenue. We only sell gold coins, and that also not more than 2 to 3% of our total turnover. So more than an asset class, we sell to customers who really want to wear and enjoy the product. But of course, when they buy something and the price is going up, they are always happy for it. But that is not the only reason why they are buying jewelry. More than investment, culture, tradition, religious reasons, occasions, etc. are influencing our sector more than only the investment point of view.
Sure. Last question on affordable gold jewelry. If you could tell us what are the plans from a R&D perspective, and what percentage of your gold jewelry comes from the affordable, and what could it become, say, longer term?
So as a brand for Kalyan Jewellers, more than 50% of our revenue comes from marriage and marriage related, wedding and wedding related. And affordable jewelry is always a part of our revenue share. It is an ongoing process. We keep making designs, we tweak it, we ensure we have enough product portfolio for and value for customers. It's a constant process as a jeweler.
But will this become large enough, because competitor is focusing a lot of efforts there?
So we are also, meaning as a jeweler, when your primary focus, of course, is to get the trust of the customers. You have to really give a good factor for any customer who walks in. You have to meet his product demand. So how will you meet his product demand, he or she? You will have to really showcase products which they are looking for. So it is an ongoing process, and we also keep on constantly looking for that. We launch a lot of sub-brands under the main brand. Usually for all festives, we launch sub-brand which is related to that occasion or wedding, etc. And that's a constant process. And regarding gold price movement, which you asked, that is also a usual scenario for every customer. The customers have seen gold prices going up, coming down, etc. And certain customers the shopping cycle, they prepone because the prices have come down. Certain people postpone because they think the price will go down further. So it depends upon customer to customer.
Okay, that's all from my side. This is quite helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Poddar from Sapphire Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. So just wanted to understand maybe from 1 to 2 year perspective. So in a normalized year, what sort of revenue growth we are looking at, or the normalized margins at the EBITDA level? Gross margin you did mention, but at the EBITDA level we are looking at.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, if the SSG is in the range of 7 to 8%, 6 to 8%, which is a normal scenario. The usual studded ratio will be in the range of 24%.
Usual?
The studded ratio will be in the range of 24%. Is the usual studded ratio if the SSG is in the range of 6 to 8%, and your south non-south revenue mix is 65-35. So on a steady state, EBITDA of 9 to 10% should be workable.
9 to 10% EBITDA in a steady state. Okay. And on the revenue front, anything that we want to share?
No, revenue, the kind of movement which we see now, to be very frank, in July, August as well, is extremely, we have never seen such kind of revenues coming. So it is extremely positive. So this is a clear shift from unorganized to organized. This momentum we have never witnessed. Only for the past 1 or 2 quarters we are witnessing. So if this goes like this, the gross margins will be in the range which we see now, maybe half or 1% better, but not more than that, because the plain gold demand is much higher than for the studded jewelry.
Okay. But like previous peak, maybe last 3 years, 4 years, 10,000, 10,500 crores. So that is what we might look to kind of target this year.
Yeah. So if you look at our revenue, we added 9 new showrooms now in the first quarter. That our usual per store revenue is in the range of 70-75 crores. So that itself is going to give us an additional, if you leave aside Q1, because Q1, you know that the showrooms were closed mostly.
Yeah.
So that itself is going to give us an additional revenue of 500 to 600 crore. Our usual SSG is only 6 to 7 to 8%, but now the kind of momentum which we see is extremely high. Next 9 months, given the current momentum, the revenue should be very exciting.
Yeah, fair enough. I understood. Yeah, that's it from my side. All the way.
And as I mentioned in the call before, Q1 to Q1, if you look at remove the gold saving scheme, the growth is 24% in April. Okay, and we are seeing the same kind of traction in June as well. So the growth is very sharp.
Right. Yeah, sounds exciting.
Yeah,
on the way. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Shirish Pardeshi from Centrum Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Ramesh. Good afternoon and thanks for the opportunity. I have 2 questions. You have said the momentum has increased in the month of July and August. What I wanted to understand, this growth rate you have seen across, is it broad base or is it more heightened in the non-South markets?
Yeah, so if you look at in April month, actually the growth in South markets were more than non-South. Because as mentioned in the earnings call for the last quarter, we in South India, we are there in all Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 markets, wherein certain customers who are now relocated to their suburbs in South. For example, a customer who was in Bangalore today in Hubli or a Belgaum, we will be able to cater them because we have stores in all Tier 2, Tier 3 markets in the South. But when you go outside South, our showrooms are predominantly in metros and Tier 1 cities. So a customer who is in Bombay today relocated to say a Kolhapur, we will not be able to cater them. So our growth rate was more in South India than in non-South markets in the month of April. But when it comes to June, we think that things are coming to normal because I think people are going back to their own cities to work because the growth rate has been very similar. The South and non-South revenue growth is very similar. So in June, when compared to FY 2020, South has grown SSG by around 60%. Non-South is in the range of 52-53%.
Yeah. Ramesh, my second question is on you kept on saying that the growth rates are also driven by the consolidation. If you can spend a minute or two explaining exactly what is the change which is happening. I mean, yes, we know hallmarking is become effective and that enforcement has happened, but which markets, which cities you have seen, or is it primarily in the non-urban markets the phenomena is shifting towards organized players?
So we see this shift happening everywhere because we see a lot of new customers coming in, predominantly because of two reasons. One is there is automatically a shift from unorganized to organized, which was there imminent for the past many years. Now, especially, people do not want to go to crowded streets, small shops, etc. People want to come to standalone stores like Kalyan, where there is an automatic hygiene followed. Over and above that, the campaigns which we do also revolve around those advantages when they shop from Kalyan. And of course, there is a bit more momentum in the non-metro markets, maybe because of the temporary dislocation of customers to their native places. But otherwise, it is almost similar everywhere. And post hallmarking into force, we think that this shift is going to even more enhance.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking, when I observe the BIS data in terms of registration, I think the number of registration over last 4 to 5 months has gone up, is actually much higher in the non-South market. And you alluded saying that the non-South market growth is much higher. So I was just trying to connect these two things because I guess South has got more stores in terms of penetration, because traditionally gold is very inherent in the South India culture.
Already South, already the organized market was in the range of, according to us, 50%. When compared to non-South, the organized segment had only 30%. So South moves faster than non-South in every way when it comes to jewelry. So maybe that is the reason. But for Kalyan, the South and non-South revenue growth, or the SSG normalized for working days in June, is very similar to South and non-South.
Okay, but would you like to call out this change in hallmarking is more visible in the non-South markets?
Yeah, so that's what. So BIS, if you look at South India, more than 50% or near to 50% is already organized. Okay, non-South markets are yet to be organized. Only 30% will be organized segment as of today. So we have a good tailwind for brands like Kalyan, wherein we will foresee a huge shift from unorganized to organized. Yes, you are right.
Okay. My second and last question is on the industry discussion. What we found that, of course, the Gold Jewelry Association, they are putting a lot of efforts to get it organized and become more transparent. But what we also observe, there is strong industry lobby which is also pushing for delaying this certification in the non-metro markets for say a period of 3 months, so that the argument is that they will be able to finish their inventory. So how truthful, I mean, you are a leader and you are a participant in the industry. Do you think such efforts will go waste, or the industry will take a different view? And maybe potentially, do we see that because South is overcrowded, do you see the competition behaving abnormally?
No, one thing is for sure. The government has already announced this is going to come as a mandate. It is already in effect. There may be temporary, flexibilities in terms of a few months. But we don't think that the whole decision is going to be changed, because it is really good for the country in two ways. One is that the quality is getting ensured. Two, this HUID code is going to make the transaction very transparent, because it is trackable. Right from the day of production, that product is getting tracked to that jeweler or the manufacturer, wherein the non-billing, etc., will not happen. So that is going to be anyway coming into the
example. Correct.
Hello?
Yeah, Ramesh, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, where did I lose you?
So, You said that the non-billing portion will go away and you can actually track the customer, I mean the supplier.
Yeah. So non-billing will really come down or reduce or may stop because of all this coming into action. So that is the only limited point wherein hallmarking is going to come. Of course, there may be some flexibility when there are negotiations with the government, but that is only a short term, right? Not more than 2 or 3 months. Is our view.
Exactly. That's if there is a strong tailwind, I think the growth prospects for the organized industry is much faster and sharper. And the related question which I wanted to get from you is that the store expansion, what you have guided, the 18, 15, 20 stores, will that take a faster pace of opening the stores in second half once things stabilize?
No, as of now, the 21 showrooms which we had planned to open, 9 are over. 5 more are almost getting ready, which will soon come into action. And as of today, the plan is to open, as per the plan, 21 showrooms in this financial year.
Okay.
Regarding acceleration in the plan, the only thing which we are validating is that we had plans to bring in franchise, but that was a plan which we would like to implement only after a couple of years. That was the initial plan. We are trying to accelerate that plan because we see this huge momentum happening and we really want to utilize it and grab the market share.
All right. Okay, thank you, Ramesh, and thanks. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Prashant Kutti from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you, sir. Firstly, a bookkeeping question at the interest level. If you look at it, you haven't really seen too much of a significant change. Just wanted to check in terms of what's the current debt level at this point of time and what's the target in terms of debt reduction going forward?
Swaminathan, can you take it?
Yeah, just a minute. So the current debt levels is on a gross basis is about 3,600 crores, and we intend to keep it at that level only. And it is pertinent to note that we have paid off COVID loans over the last quarter, and interest rates by and large will show a declining trend.
I'm sorry, sir, I did not get what is the number of what's the quantum of debt at this point of time?
It's on a gross basis 3,600 crores.
Okay, gross
consolidated.
And this in the previous quarter, end of previous quarter was how much?
Excuse me?
As an FY21 end, what was this number? Or as a FY21, what was this number of debt?
Yeah, as at FY21 end, the gross debt was about 3,400 crores.
So we have seen an increase in the debt as of now.
No, we have to we have to just factor in that this out of this 3,600 crores, 400 crores is gold metal loan we have taken by placement of deposits. So that is one-to-one matched by the deposits and loans. So you have to factor in that. So if you have to remove that, then it should be only 3,200 crores compared to 3,400 crores end of 31st March 21.
Okay. So when you're talking about 3,600 crores of loan at this point of time, if I presume, I think last quarter you had said that the gold metal loan is about 1,400 crores. So that number is now 1,600 crores. Is that the right number?
Yes, you are right.
Okay. So of the 3,600 crores, about 1,600 crores is gold metal loan.
Correct.
And sir, what's the target for paying off a debt? So I understand the gold metal loan part, but X of that, what's the target to reduce the other part of the debt?
Sir, like we explained, before IPO, our debt equity ratio was 1.7, and post IPO it has come to 1.1. and our medium-term target of debt-equity ratio is 0.75. So we will move in that direction.
Okay, sure. Sir, you just made a comment on in terms of the July demand was very strong. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you kind of said that. So just also want to understand that typically when you're talking about you also said that studded is probably not seeing that share of growth, but you also made a comment that gross margins will not be great. So is there a case that you're actually seeing at the very base end level of growth which is there, or as far as gold is concerned, you're probably seeing a little bit of the higher end level also? Because this gross margin at this point of time is still a fairly moderate number as compared to what we were doing in Q3 or what we did last year Q4, around the 17-18% mark which you're talking about. So just want to pick your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So just before that, the debt question, I think Swaminathan was not very clear. So the debt level, we have actually reduced the debt by around 200 crore. Okay. And that is basically COVID loans which we brought it down. And the net debt with GML is 2626 and without GML is 1084. So there is a gap between gross debt and net debt in the range of 800 to 1000 crore. That is predominantly because of the cash deposits, etc. in the bank. So the net debt is 2626, out of which if you do it without GML, it is 1084.
Okay.
And regarding your question about the gross margins in July and the momentum, I would just clarify that the revenue growth which we see in July and August is very sharp. When the revenue comes from the unorganized market, the demand first is for the staple plain gold jewelry. The customers from rural areas are really coming into the store. For the first time when they shop, it is very hard for us to convert.
Hello?
So the line for the management is disconnected. Kindly stay on line till I reconnect them. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the management line reconnected to the call. Thank you and over to you.
Sorry for that. So I think we lost in July. So the momentum which we see in July is extremely positive. The revenue growth which we see, the demand for plain gold jewelry is much higher than the studded jewelry. So when you look at gross profit in terms of percentage, the gross profit might come down, but on a quantity value, it is going to go up because the revenue growth is very, very steep. Why this happens is because the demand for plain gold jewelry is much higher than the studded jewelry because of the shift from unorganized to organized.
Sure, sir. But within plain gold jewelry also, is the demand at the lower end? Is what I'm trying to ask. Because basically,
it happens at certain times wherein your walk-ins from the unorganized segment, when it comes, they come for the plain staple low margin products initially. So usually we actually upsell them to a better margin product in gold itself and also to studded jewelry. But now what is happening, because of the crowd at the stores, even otherwise the per store revenue is very high at Kalyan. So now with limited working hours and with limited staffs only allowed, it is a bit tough for upselling, which of course affects the studded jewelry conversion as well. So on a normal state of mind, when this unorganized segment comes, it is actually not as tough as today's position, wherein if you work on full working hours and with full sales team.
Sure. Understood, sir. And one last bit from my end, sir, if I may.
Yes,
As
sure,
of
sure.
now, all the stores are operational, right? Or any store which is not functioning at this point of time, or maybe working with truncated hours?
As of today, all the stores are open as of today, but weekends, the store opening is approximately in the range of 80-82%.
Sure, sure. Thank you very much, sir, and all the very best to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Gaurav Jogani from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So my question is with regards to what the previous participant asked. So while I understand that, because of the higher sale of the gold jewelry, there might be some impact on the gross margin to an extent. But do you think the sheer volumes could outmatch, the impact at the EBITDA level, and the EBITDA margin actually could be higher versus what we have noticed in the past?
Yeah, if this momentum is continuing on a quantity wise or on volume wise, your gross profit will be better than your estimate, and your EBITDA level should also improve. In the current run rate, if it goes, because now the momentum is extremely positive. It is very similar to the Q4 levels, is what we are seeing in July and August till today.
Sure. Got it. And sir, how much of this would you, allude to a pent-up demand scenario? Because while we have seen, the stores remaining closed and people trying to prepone their purchases for weddings and all. So how much of this would you allude to preponement of demand or pent-up demand?
Yeah, so more than pent-up demand, because if you see, there has been shifting of marriages from quarters to quarter, like Q4, certain marriages would have happened, which is now into Q1. Q1, certain decisions which would have been taken will move to Q2. So there has been dislocations in the demand. But more than pent-up demand, what we see now is the shift from unorganized to organized. We are visibly seeing it in the store. We are seeing new customer walk-ins. The new customer walk-in growth is more than 50%, and that we are seeing for the past 2-3 quarters now. So pent-up demand is one way to look at it, but we think that more than the pent-up demand, it is because of the new customer walk-ins and the shift from unorganized to organized.
Sure, thanks. And one last bit from my end is that the Middle East margins now have been quite strong over the past the 2 quarters that we've seen. So how much, according to you, is sustainable, and what should be a steady state margin levels for the Middle East business?
Yeah, the Middle East, the pre-COVID margins were in the range of 13 to 14%. And post-COVID, the market has really consolidated to organized players. A lot of small players are winding up. They have come out of the market, etc. There has been consolidation in the market. And now the gross margin for the past 2 quarters are in the range of 17 to 18. So this should go forward in the range of 17 to 18, unless and until the market totally revives back and all those small players again come into action from India, etc. But for the next couple of years, we think that this margin is sustainable.
Sure. Thanks again for answering my question. That's all from me.
Yeah, thank you.
Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Manoj Menon from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, team. There are a lot of questions on hallmarking already. So I have only one more subplot question on that. In this one short term and one medium to long term. In the very short term, which could be few months or a few quarters, doesn't really matter. Is there a scenario of because of the inventory liquidation necessity, significantly higher price offs? At least that's what I believe I'm observing as a consumer. And a lot many more 3%, 4%, 5% sort of consumer communications which jewelers are telling me. So that's one. So how do we think about that? But having said that, I'm also aware that there is a life cycle value of the consumer whom you are incrementally recruiting. So it's a very very short cost, for a longer term benefit. That's one. Second, once the dust settles in some form, two sub questions there. How do I think about, this at 12 months or 18 months from today? Because history tells me that, Indian entrepreneurs are, very, very creative, and so the evolution is not necessarily, very destructive. So just some thoughts on that actually. Second, once the level playing field actually happens, the equilibrium would then shift to designs and brands, etc. So how do we think about it? So a lot many more brands will spend more, to up themselves, or which probably is linked to the earlier question. So how do we think the medium term? Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So Manoj, first of all, hallmarking on a short-term or a mid-term analysis, you know that more than 70% of the business is with unorganized segment even today. However hard we push, that shift was come only to the extent of 30% for the past many years now. Okay. Now, if by some way this acceleration is further kind of going into a level where this becomes ulta, meaning 70-30, because of enforcement of hallmarking, this is a big change for organized players. So hallmarking, what is the impact? Number one is that quality is getting standardized. So now there might be a lot of unorganized players who have low quality inventory. If they have to move it to hallmarking inventory, they will have to melt their existing ornaments. They will have to add that quantity of gold and then make hallmark jewelry, right? So additional liquidity is needed, which of course at this tough times, it is very hard for an unorganized segment to put more money on gold and make his ornament more pure. Otherwise, he will have to reduce the quantity in the store, which is actually going to be a bit tougher in a short-term, mid-term for unorganized segment. The second thing is that, there is lot of non-billing which happens in our sector. How can a non-billing happen? Only if you have stock which is not in your books, you can do a non-billing, right? So now what will happen? This unaccounted inventory, if it has to be hallmarked with this HUID code, how will it happen? So there's no account source for them to bring that inventory into their display. So these kind of unorganized segments will really go away from the market, which is going to really bring in more revenue for organized segment in the mid-term, long-term, short-term, mid-term is what we really feel. In the long term, with hallmarking coming in, purity will it will not be a differentiator anymore. That is where efforts by players like us pay rewards. Design, brand power, etc. really is going to help brands like Kalyan.
Understood, sir. Understood. Thanks. I had one more question on how do you expect, as an industry leader, on the equilibrium stabilizing, in 12, 18, 24 months.
Can you repeat it, Manoj, once more?
So what I'm just trying to understand is once the consumer, maybe this was asked last time also, but since there is an evolution happening, that's the reason probably we're repeating it, maybe for some more time. See, once everyone complies with it, once the shakeout happens, etc., then how do I think about this? Is it like then design is the only differentiator, and so or is there also will be a necessity for large players to even, let's say, increase the ad spends to even communicate even more than what you're doing today? Or how do we think about that situation once the dust settles?
So first of all, I will let me make one thing very clear, Manoj. To create a brand, it takes years. It does not happen over time. It cannot be done in a couple of years. Okay, it has to take its own time, and it depends upon what your brand value stands for. So now, if you look at Kalyan, we have invested huge money in our brand. We have invested more than 1,000 crore if you look at for the past 5 years.
The brand has been built on the core values of trust, transparency, hyperlocal, design elements. We have sub-brands for almost all the segments which a customer is looking for. So this is a very long-term, what you call, pain, wherein you will have to really spend for many years to get into that space, which already we are in. So now it is a utilization period for us, wherein if the shift comes from unorganized to organized, Kalyan will be in the front row, because it will be unorganized to organized. We are a very hyper-local brand. The inventory is hyper-local. The brand name is very hyper-local. We have My Kalyan centers across villages wherein you can really convert those customers into your brand. So we are well positioned, and that is the major advantage which we have. We also have a very good digital spend or digital space wherein it really helps to convert customers to Kalyan Jewellers.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you, Ramesh. Malika, are there any further questions? Otherwise, it's already 3:01, little more than an hour now. If no further questions, we can hand over back to Ramesh and team for the closing remarks.
Yes, sir, there are no further questions.
Thank you, Manoj. So I will just end the note by saying that the momentum is very high. We see very good footfalls. The gross margins are almost steady, and we look forward for this momentum for the rest of the year if things are almost in the similar lines.
Thank you. On behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.